So I recently had a follower on Instagram reach out to me right here, and you won't believe it, but he's actually gotten below 10% body fat, but he's not really happy with his overall look. So I want to explain a little bit about what you should do if you're not happy with your results. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Parvella from ProPhysique.com, and today's question comes directly from an Instagram follower. Now, I don't want to give you his handle. He's free to comment on this video if he wants, but I will show you his picture. Maybe I'll blur out his face a little bit, but as you can see here, he's reached below 10% body fat, but he's struggling with a few things, and I want to address just what we do. I've got some specifics on how we're going to handle that. So we're going to talk about everything that he's doing, and I'm going to show you my method as a coach and what I would do in this situation, because I've been through this myself. I'm actually currently kind of in this spot, and I've also helped a lot of athletes through this spot. So there's two parts to the process. A lot of people think like getting lean is the goal. Staying lean should be the goal. So let's talk a little bit about the situation. So we're going to start right here. Now he says he feels like his abs don't look the way he wants to look. I'll put the picture, the question on the screen here for you guys. So he wants to get to sub 10% body fat. He's averaging 10 to 15,000 steps per day. Okay, that is a huge amount of steps per day. Just to give you some context, that's several hours of walking. Okay, so that is very intentionally walking. He's eating between 24 and 2,500 calories a day, right? And he's also reached a spot where he's at 195 pounds. And according to the latest DEXA scan, 8.3% body fat. So what are his complaints? His complaints are that his skin does not look the way he wants it to look. And I can certainly understand that. I think we all have some misconceptions about what our body is going to look like. Now, he lost an incredible amount of weight. He talks about losing 45 pounds of body fat. Now, even at his age, skin is very elastic. And I think people are a little worried when they initially lose weight because they don't love the way their skin looks. Over time, skin does have some elasticity. Now, I do have a video on my channel where I spoke to a professional, a plastic surgeon, about what your expectations can be after weight loss, what would be medically required, like surgery, and what your skin elasticity can do. That's not what this video is about. So I want to talk about what I've seen personally. I noticed myself, because I've gone through weight loss before, and I'll show you some video of me here now currently. I've lost in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 pounds previously. Now, I don't let myself fluctuate that much anymore. In fact, I try to fluctuate as little as possible. And anyone who's gone through a lot of body fat loss multiple times, you start to not enjoy that process as much. So you do get better at staying leaner. It's just the truth. And I've kind of mastered it now where I can maintain my physique with very low effort. Now, what do we do in this situation? Now, his biggest complaints are he doesn't love the way he looks. His hunger has been increasing and his sleep has been a struggle. This is something that when I coach a competitor, I start to look at as a period where we can do what's called metabolic building, or increasing calories, like you said you've already done, and seeing a benefit to metabolism, to muscle density, and to potentially sleep. The biggest reason that I think sleep gets interrupted when we get low body fat is it's just the sensation that our body is in starvation mode. Our body is basically burning through calories faster, and it senses that we are in need of more food. If you think of this from an evolutionary perspective, perhaps if you're starving, less sleep is better for survival. Who knows? But that's at least how I correlate it, because I do notice the leaner I get, the less sleep I'm required. I can actually plan to sleep 5 to 6 hours a night and feel totally fine. Granted, I'm an old guy, so I'll take a nap here and there. But my point being is that the leaner you are, typically the less sleep. So I think some people can get concerned about that. So what would I do in this situation? So we have multiple things we can work on. At 10 to 15,000 steps, I would probably initially suggest we drop about 1,000 steps off that. So we drop to 9 to 14K steps over the course of the week. The second thing I would do, I typically like to add between 100 and 150 calories a week for someone reversing. Now you're already at 2,500 calories, which is over 10 times your body weight. 195 pounds, 10 times your body weight would be 1,950 calories. You're well over that. So I'd probably work on the higher end, and I'd probably be adding 150 calories a week. Now, what do I do at the end of that week? That's where I would check in. and I would say, okay, after we added this 150 calories, the bulk of which is going to come from carbs, okay? Reason being is that carbs are going to really support our training and our recovery and our muscle fullness. So if we're adding those 150 calories, a bulk of that coming from carbs, what we're going to do at the end of the week is we're going to check the scale, check the pictures, and see what happens. If we maintained our weight and we maintained our look, you guessed it, plus another 150. If we feel like the weight crept up or we don't like the way we look and feel, we just hold there for a week. Sometimes we can hold for several weeks. And what we do is just every time we stall, we're able to add more food without adding more body fat. Now, you don't like the way your abs look. Now, this is something that is going to be very much driven by your genetics. I mean, looking at this picture, I think anybody would be excited about this. And this is something, you know, the way your core looks, this is something that I think some of us can get into. And it's a discussion I have with clients quite often, body dysmorphia. Our own personal desires can be out of line with what anyone else would see. So sometimes when you understand that, like, yeah, I realize I look really good, but my standard is even higher than this. So I think over time, the longer you see yourself like this, the better it would be. The only other solution, and this is something that I would suggest if you were competing, is to lower your body fat. However, being below 10% body fat for someone that doesn't compete is pretty rare. Maintaining that is even more rare. So you might want to look into physique competitions, because the first time I decided to compete, it was the same reason. I was loving the way I looked and felt, and I wanted that next challenge, okay? Challenges offer us a time to focus on a new goal, right? So it's a transformation challenge like the one we're running right now. If it's a photo shoot, oftentimes I get clients coming to me, they're shredding for their wedding, right? Hey coach, I'm getting married in 4 months. I want to look my best on my wedding day. Perfect. You've got a goal, you've got a deadline. We can set some real tangible goals here. So whatever it is, you know, I just happen to love the idea of getting up on a bodybuilding stage. And comment below if you think I should do another bodybuilding show, because it's been over 2 years since I did one, and it's been on my mind lately. But yeah, I would say you got to go one of two directions. You probably got to put on a little bit more body fat just so you're a little more comfortable and you sleep a little better if that's your concern. Or you can focus on maintaining while you add your calories. Those are your two options. The other one, if you really want to see what you look like at a leaner body fat, but there you're going to run into more hunger and also more issues with sleep. The leaner you get, the more those things become prevalent. Now, the other thing I didn't mention, which you didn't mention, is that you're at 2,500 calories. You could also do 1 day a week where you bump calories up by 500, plus 500 calories for 1 day. All right. Now, again, the bulk of this is going to come from carbohydrates. That would be about 125 grams of carbs added. That's going to really give you some added benefit to your training, to your recovery. It also gives you something to look forward to, and you might just get a good response from it to the point where you sleep better that day. And I'll be honest, the leaner my athletes get, the more frequent I'm doing these high carb days. Sometimes as frequently as every third or fourth day when someone gets lean. And if you're not familiar with diet breaks, well, this is where we basically take the cardio, cut it in half. We bring the calories up by about 25-30%, and we focus on maintaining for a week. But I feel like you're already at your maintenance. You know, you brought your food up. So it would just be toggling these few switches to make sure that you're in the best place possible to work towards that next goal. We're goal oriented as human beings. And so I think the fact that you've done this well is remarkable. Now you just got to find that next carrot, that next thing that gets you excited. And if you're not sure what that is, reach out to me. If you guys are not sure what that is, set up a call with me, because literally the goal is going to determine how successful you are. If your goal is just to lose 5 pounds, probably not going to happen. You're going to find reasons to work around it. If your goal is to get on a bodybuilding stage,